Last question wrapping up the NBA block. Who is this year's villain in the NBA?
Well, you know, for me, it's like when you want to talk about Gilbert Arenas, he's been out of the game for, it seems like, a century. For me, people are sleeping on him. They're sleeping on him. You know who else people sleep on is Freddy Krueger. He'll get you. He's going to come get you if you sleep on him. And I think Gilbert Arenas is that guy this year.
All right, well, if we want to do horror movie characters, then I'm going to say Kobe is Jigsaw. And this goes for his teammates and for people on the other team. Because if you're going to step on the court with him, you're going to have to play his game. And you're going to have to sacrifice something, whether it's a finger, whether it's playing time, in order to win. Now, that goes for our opposing opponents as well as his new teammate, Ron Artest, who is going to have to give something up. So that could turn into a very villainous situation that could turn ill very quickly if they're not careful.
Yeah.
For the record, guys, Jigsaw is dead now in Saw 6. But you guys certainly forecast a frightening good season, so stay tuned because Josh Norris is here to discuss the NFL when we return.
We didn't have enough energy and spirit on the show. I always thought we did, but I guess not. So we thought it'd be a good idea to bring the Elon Phoenix mascot on the show and give us a little bit of energy. Pump us up.
All right, bud, I'm just going to put this microphone on you. All right, you're going to talk right in there to camera, too. Just going to read the words that come up. Let's see some emotion. All right, you're going to be great. All right, stand by.
Okay, everybody, we're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, mic, and cue.
Oh, boy.
Welcome back to One-on-One Sports. Josh Norris, welcome to the set. Talking about games played overseas. We saw it last weekend with the Bucks and the Patriots. What's your opinion?
It's a terrible idea. Now, for one, there's one season in London, and it's rain. So these games playing in the rain, for one, it's bad. But another thing, it takes away a home game from one team. That should never be done, no matter if it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season. They're not going to make the playoffs anyways. But just in general, a home game should never be taken away from a team. And we always hear about teams traveling to the East Coast or the West Coast from the opposite side of the country. You got to travel overseas. That's a lot tougher, and the jet lag and everything, it's just not worth it to me.
You know what? I like Roger Goodell's idea in the fact that he's trying to spread his product, and the NFL is his product. But as a fan, I want to see the games played in America. This is American football. We're not playing soccer. We're not on the pitch, This is football season. We got field goal posts. We throw the ball. And I want to see it played in our home country. Every team should be allowed to have their games, and, you got to play the game.
It's like Wimbledon in Boston or Arsenal, Chelsea in Las Vegas. It's a great
make
thought,
sense.
but it just doesn't work out.
I agree. And it's hard enough taking the Jets and making them go play in Seattle. It's even tougher having them go play in, a different continent. So I agree with both of you. Play a little panic, patience. Who do we have panic with? Who do we have patience with? First team, my Baltimore Ravens. Gentlemen?
If I was the Baltimore Ravens, my team threat level would be at code purple right now because they are in serious danger of missing the playoffs. They play in arguably the best division in football. The Cincinnati Bengals are on a roll. Pittsburgh Steelers are catching their element. They're right in their prime. Defense looking great. And there's a lot of wild card potential teams in the AFC. You got the Jets, you got Houston, you got San Diego, who had a lot of hype. I think there's too many contenders for the currently 8th place Baltimore Ravens to make the playoffs.
I'm panicking as well. If they've lost 3 in a row, they could easily lose 2 more with Denver and Cincinnati coming up. And it's not the offense this time. The offense is playing great. It's the defense. They can't stop the pass. They've lost Samara Roll. They've lost all these guys, Chris McAllister from a couple of years ago. They've got Fabian Washington and Frank Walker. These guys aren't nearly as good as the powerful defense that they've had in the past.
I'll agree with you both to some extent, but to be clear, there is no actual threat level of code purple. I just want to clarify. Next team, Houston Texans, sitting at 3-3 right now.
Offense.
Excuse me, 4-3.
4-3, yeah. Offense is the key for them. It's Matt Schaub. He is a top 10 quarterback now. And the defense, yes, they have Maury Williams, Antonio Smith, guys like Brian Cushing, D'Amico Ryans, but it's really, they can't even get this running game going, but the passing game is up there with the Saints. This really is a high caliber offense. and the schedule really favors them. They only have 3 teams above 500 left in the schedule.
Well, they have pancake division, exact opposite of the Baltimore Ravens. They get Jacksonville, they get the terrible Tennessee Titans. And so even though Andre the Giant has a bruised lung, I think they're going to be just fine. Their offense is still going to chug. Steve Slayton is coming back into his second half form of last year. He's looking great. I think the Texans are one of those wild card teams that are going to pass the Baltimore Ravens and make the playoffs.
One thing to worry about, they do have Indy coming up in the next 2 of the 4 weeks, but 5 of the next 9 losing records.
Also, 3 of their next 4 games, divisional opponents.
True.
And they play Indianapolis twice in the next 4 weeks. So that should be a real test of the Texans. So we've got panic with the Ravens, patience with the Texans. Our final topic, the Dallas Cowboys, the fighting Jerry Joneses, if you will. Panic or patience?
The team formerly known as America's team, I think we can have a little patience with them. They're sitting pretty at 4-2 right now. You know, they're tied with the Philadelphia Eagles, who looked bad against the Raiders, looked okay against the terrible Redskins. And so, you know, I think Dallas, if they can keep winning games, Tony Romo can, you know, keep it together, not turn over the ball too much, I think that's a team that we can have some patience with.
The Giants just opened the door to the NFC East, losing to the Arizona Cardinals. And like you said, Mike, it really runs through if they can beat Philadelphia. They've got them still twice on the schedule. If they win one of the games the Cowboys do, they're set to make the playoffs, in my opinion.
And the difference in the NFC versus the AFC, a lot of really strong AFC contenders. In the NFC, I know Green Bay's got the record right now, but I see them dropping. They're not quite at the Dallas-Philly par, and you know some other teams are definitely looking to go down.
And Tony Romo has found another weapon other than Jason Witten now with Miles Austin.
Miles Austin saving my fantasy team,
there you
baby.
Go. He has led the team in receiving for the past 2 weeks. This guy has come under the radar, and Roy Williams, who? It really is Miles Austin's wide receiving core right now.
I agree. Now, we know the Cowboys will not finish 4th in their division, but will they make the playoffs? Give me a prediction.
I think the Dallas Cowboys make the playoffs.
As do I.
Fair enough. Okay, final topic, Halloween-themed, scariest team to face right now. Who do you think?
I think it's the New Orleans Saints. It has to be. This is the best team in football, and it's the offense and the defense. It's always been about the offense and Drew Brees. I mean, you got Marcus Colston, Reggie Bush, Pierre Thomas, all these guys. But the defense, Darren Sharper is the defensive MVP of the league. 6 interceptions, 3 returned for touchdowns. And they're not in a great division this year. I mean, Atlanta's okay, Carolina's terrible, and Tampa Bay's even worse. So their schedule is pretty favorable. So I really look for New Orleans to definitely have the best record in the NFL this season.
Shades of Ed Reed, Darren Sharper this season.
Definitely.
It's hard to argue with the Saints, but because, you know, in the Halloween theme, I'm dressed as a devil's advocate, and so I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, the Purple People Eaters on defense. And I don't know if you saw the Steelers game, but Adrian Peterson is a scary man. He crushed William Gay. And then on the kickoff return, they crushed the referee. I think they're the scariest team because they hit you, and they hit you hard. They don't care if you're an offensive player, a defensive player, the referee. They're going to go after you and attack you, and that is why the Minnesota Vikings, led by old man Favre, are the scariest team in the NFL.
Jared Allen's a pretty scary guy himself, too.
He is. Kind of goofy looking, but, you know, can't argue with his production.
Both scary guys. Which one will have the higher seeding in the playoffs? I'm not going to lie. Both of them are going to make the playoffs.
New Orleans Saints, it has to be. I mean, like we talked about, the division and the record already, they haven't lost a game. I don't see Drew Brees slowing down. MVP performance so far, and Darren Sharper, defensive MVP. So it has to be New Orleans.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that is all the time we have for this week's edition of 101 Sports. For all our experts this week, I'm Andrew Springs.
And I'm Mike Feldman. Be sure to look for us on The Pendulum and listen for us on WSOE every Wednesday from 10 to 11 p.m. We'll be back next week for an all-new show. Until then, whose side are you on?